All right. Good afternoon and a very welcome for today's webinar about check and external validations for business partners. My name is Peter and I am today's host as well as the moderator. And I'm accompanied by my dear colleague, Joseph Reisner. He's a senior expert for our master data product, GLASSWING. And today we will be hosting and we will presenting everything there is to know about external business partner validation. Please note that today's webinar will be recorded. You're very welcome to ask questions at any time. You are muted, so please use the chat function or the dedicated Q&A section in this webinar. Before we are starting, we quickly have a look at our agenda for today. So the agenda, what we are going to discuss today is, first of all, we are going to introduce and tell you a little bit about why business partner master data are important and why the external validation is actually critical. Then Joseph will give you a brief demo as well as a technical configuration guide. And then we will conclude with a Q&A section where you're very welcome to ask questions and also get the maximum out of this webinar. Before we start, let's talk a little bit about why use external data sources. So we all know the problem. We all know that once we would like to create business partners in our master data systems, we are striving for high data quality. We are striving for complete master data. We are striving for accurate master data, consistent data, valid data, and unique data, because it's something that we need to use for our operational efficiency. We need to ensure that there are no business disruptions and they are ready to use for all our downstream processes. In order to do that, what we typically see in real life environments is that people are doing extensive research. They either go into the web, search the corresponding company, they use ChatGPT or Copilot, they go either directly into the company register or they do Google search. However, can you ensure that with any of those tasks that the quality is checked, that companies or the company data are validated, are rule checked and or sanction screened? So in order to, and the result of this is typically that once you're creating a business partner, you have outdated business partner information or not correct ones. You typically also have missing attributes, inconsistent data, and this entire task of manual creation of business partner is typically very error prone and incorrect. In order to avoid this from happening, we have partnered up with a company, it's called CDQ, and their first time right approach, we have integrated directly into GLASSWING, where we, from now on, are able to create trusted business partner master data efficiently and with high data quality, and more importantly, risk-free. So first of all, when we are searching for business partners, we are using CDQ's repository of over 200 million business partner master data. And that's a consolidation of public data sources where we have, or CDQ have directly connected to more than 70 external registers, like a German register, a Danish register, or a Swedish register. So you get legal addresses, legal name, VAT numbers, etc., directly from the dedicated source. There are also possibilities to add the premium data source coming from the data sharing community, as well as commercial data sources as a top-on in order to also provide additional use cases like the enrichment of hierarchies, credit limit, etc. But the foundation in order to do that are, of course, correct and accurate master data. This is also the foundation in order to accurate duplicate checks so that you're not getting any false positives, so that you're also getting the accurate matching across the different systems that you're having. You also ensure that with the correct data coming from these legal reference sources, that it's easier to check against sanction and watch lists. And here we also use CDQ services in order to do an accurate compliance screening, where we ensure that companies are not on any of those sanctions and watch lists. Plus, we ensure whether when we are creating a natural person, whether this is a political exposed person. And last but not least, we ensure that the bank account is actually a trustworthy bank account and that you're not paying any payments against a fraudulent or forged bank account. So these services from CDQ 1 to 4, we have directly integrated in CDQ. And what you're getting is a validated business partner. So CDQ via GLASSWING enables you actually that all the business partner information coming from the corresponding source are valid, they are complete, they are accurate, and they are of course unique because it enables you to do a much more efficient duplicate check. So ultimately you have a high quality master data record in your SAP system. And why this is important? The unique combination of GLASSWING, which is a SAP certified add-on, and CDQ ensures that high master data quality will be created with minimum effort. GLASSWING offers this out-of-the-box technical integration to CDQ and avoiding lengthy implementation projects because this data model mapping, etc., can be quite cumbersome and also errorsome, so it can delay certain projects. And typically, the development of such algorithms to search the correct business partner data against the correct legal reference source is also quite difficult, and this is already there out of the box and implementable within a couple of hours. Enough from my side. I would like to hand over to my colleague who will show you a little bit how this combination of GLASSWING and CDQ works. And I will hand over, Joseph, to you.
Thank you, Peter. Hello also from my side. Like Peter said already, let's have a look at the system where we have implemented this solution. So we're currently in our GLASSWING front end. Most of you will probably already know this. For those of you who don't, get in contact with Peter. He's certainly happy to tell you more about GLASSWING and what it can do. So here we are in the business partner role, creating a new business partner. You can see here on the top left, we have a button that is called CDQ Cockpit. What it does, it calls the CDQ service for external reference data. You can either fill in data right away in here, right? Like you used to, name and address data, for example, identifiers, etc., and then start the CDQ cockpit, or you start directly from here. You have here a number of fields that will be pre-filled if you have entered the data already in the front end, or you can use the search functionality from the start here. We're going to search for a company here now. Minimum data input, just name and country. Sorry. And what you see in the result list here is the results from CDQ. And you can see here on the left column, there is a number of different data sources. There's over 70 different data sources available through CDQ. We have here, for example, the Polish register, but we have also the sharing pool of CDQ or non-commercial sources like Google Places. But fees, for example, something that most of you in Europe are certainly using, can be accessed through this service. You get here a list of results as table. You have different attributes that can be shown. This table is fully customizable. So here I have created a custom view, but you can adjust it to your needs, show the legal entity, the legal form, etc., etc. So this is fully flexible. If I select a record from here, so here those are suggestions, you can see a matching score that is based on the calculations of CDQ. If I select a record here, the data will be taken over into this table. And here I can either select single attributes, or I can simply select all the attributes with a simple click of a button. And then I want to transfer those fields over to GLASSWING. You can see now here the data has been entered in the front end. I don't have to do any more here if the data is available. If an additional data is required, you can of course fill that out here and then continue. What also has happened is the second service that Peter talked about before we started a sanction screening. This can be found on this tab once it is enabled. And here we have a log of all the sanction screenings that are done. So I can also manually trigger this again. You see here I have a sanction screening log that can also be used for audits, where I can see when has it been screened, against what has it been screened, and what has been the final result. This sanction screening resulted in a status of 2. Again, these statuses are configurable, and what they mean I will show you in a second. Here, this status has a status message that says to be checked. So status 2 means, okay, this requires a manual checking. And the logic behind it are thresholds. So you can see further down here the results of this sanction screening. And you can see here a sanction list for this record has been, or an entry in the sanction list has been found, and the matching score has been 82. Now in the back end, where we're going to see in a moment the rules that are set up, everything above a matching score of 70 will trigger a manual approval process here. And you can, of course, then see further details. What list has it been? This has been the OFAC list. And what is the message within the list related to that sanction entry to determine, okay, is this really relevant for us or not? The configuration, which lists you want to screen, happens on CDQ side. Now for this sanction screening, ideally a process would be triggered with ownerships for these fields and the text and the manual status that require, for example, a compliance officer to confirm in a second step. I will not do this process now, but just to show you how it would look, the person responsible would then go into this record, picking it up from the workflow inbox, and then assign a manual status. For example, this one is okay. In the message, this is a false positive, for example. Exactly. And if the matching score would be high enough, GLASSWING could also prevent the creation from a record. Or if you would like to create a record in a country that is completed under embargo, then you can also use the setup to prevent creation in such countries. Good. The third service I wanted to show you today is the bank account verification. So within the business partner payment transactions, you can enter bank details, and CDQ allows to verify bank data against shared bank transactions. So if an IBAN has been used by a community member in the past successfully, then this will be registered. And the more community members have been successfully using an IBAN, the higher the trust score is. So let's check one, or multiple ones maybe. I'm taking this one over, and I have a field check implemented that says, okay, this bank data should be checked via CDQ. This can also be enabled, and we're going to see in the configuration part how this can be done. Or the negative example, I take a fraudulent bank account, take it over, and now I perform a CDQ check on both of these. I can see here green light. This bank account has been used more than my entered threshold or required threshold. So this gets a green light. I probably do not have to check this bank account. The red one is related to a fraud case that has been reported in the community, therefore gets the red light, and I must not use this bank account. So I could not save, obviously, if that one is entered. Good. This has been the services. Once I have entered all the data, of course, I send my request, and then process is as usual. Let's have a quick look at the configuration from here. First, what are the requirements for using the external services from CDQ? You need to be on SAP S/4HANA 1809, or if you are on ECC 6.00, and you need to have GLASSWING versions 3.50 for S4 or 7.20 for ECC, because this is when we first integrated CDQ in GLASSWING. Additionally, you need to have a valid contract with CDQ to use their services. And this can either be acquired through a package, an add-on package to your GLASSWING subscription, which is probably the easiest. Or if you already are a customer of CDQ and have an agreement with them, you can simply use their services in GLASSWING right away. We need to do a couple of setup steps to activate the CDQ services. There are some general tables that you need to touch, for example, fields or WDA views and so on. But also there is some CDQ specific tables, and I'm going to quickly go through them and discuss the most important aspects. Of course, details can then be found in the configuration guides, or you can reach out to your consultant, or of course to Peter if you're not a customer already. Good. First step is to activate the functions via body switches in the table. There are two body switches. One turns on the lookup and the sanction screening. The other one is used for the bank data service. The front-end tabs control activates the tab that you've seen where we worked with the sanction screening part. It needs to be set up for the object type and 2 lines for each object types, at least 2 lines due to technical reasons. Then you have to activate the sanction fields, and you can use those. You can use ownerships, like we said before. If a compliance person has to confirm, then the ownership should be to that compliance person only, and therefore you have the possibility to steer your workflow accordingly. The field checks, we've seen some of them. We implemented 3 field checks for this solution. The one for the bank data that enforces you to check an entered bank account, but also prevents you from using one that has a red light that should not be used. The other ones are for sanction screening, one preventing you to create in case of a positive sanction hit above a certain threshold, and the other one that enforces you to do the sanction screening. This table is quite important, the CDQ status sanction table. It allows you to define your sanction process. You can see here, based on countries, you can define different statuses with different thresholds. So if I use country all, this means all countries, but I can then also define for specific countries rules that are different than the ones for all the other countries. So for example, here I set up a rule for all the countries, but Russia always gets, no matter the threshold, gets status free. And status free tells me in the status control that I cannot create an account for such a record. And for the other countries above 50% matching score, I require a comment. Above 70, I require a comment and I need approval. And this status cannot be selected manually, so this will only be set by the system. Above 90, I cannot create a record, for example. So this table basically steers my or most of my sanction screening process. In the other table, I can define the text for the statuses that we've seen in the tables. And the CDQ Bank Trust Score table sets the trust score from which on an a bank account gets the green light, as we've seen. So here in this example, we have a trust score of more than 4, which means that there is a certain number of payments that have happened within the last 90 days by at least 2 community members. Then there are 2 technical tables required for the REST API header. So this is your API key that you receive from CDQ that you should enter here, and then the REST parameters for the API call. Additionally, you probably have to whitelist these REST URLs in order to access external services out of SAP. So S-Trust is usually the SAP transaction that you would use for this. Good. That concludes the demonstration part of the webinar. Now I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have.
So thank you very much, Joseph. I see that there is already a question coming in via the private chat. So Joseph, can you share a success story where CDQ solutions significantly improved a client's data management, and where has it been implemented?
Okay. So we do have customers already that use the CDQ services via GLASSWING. We have one customer that uses it mostly for. Sorry, I have to quickly unmute. So there we go. So we have one customer that uses it for their sanction screening. So they use the lookup already to get good data in, and then use this data for their sanction process. And so there we have successfully implemented this one. I'm not sure if I can share more details, but please reach out to me, and I'm sure we can organize a bilateral call if you would like to get more details about the exact workings.
Thank you very much. What is the data coverage of CDQ, and how does it compare with DNB or Moody's?
So the data coverage, like Peter said, is as far as the latest numbers that we have is above 200 million. And it is important to know that the one does not exclude the other. So CDQ integrates to freely available data sources like these and local registers, and makes use of this freely available data. But they can also connect to DNB in case you need more data, financial information, hierarchy data, and so on. So the one does not exclude the other. They supplement each other, you can say. But the coverage, especially within Europe, is great, of course. And additionally, you also have access to, as we saw, non-commercial data like Google Places, where maybe legal registers are not easily available.
Awesome, thank you. There's maybe one last question. Do you offer a free trial, as a CDQ free trial? And can I test it for a couple of months, the integration of CDQ? I think that is referred to.
I think this is probably a question that you can answer better than me.
Yes. So there are possibilities of testing, of course, CDQ's integration via GLASSWING. There need to be, as also Joseph mentioned, certain requirements need to be cleared and also need to be set in place. But we're more than happy to discuss and see how such a free trial could be set as a POC, MVP, whatever we call it, so that you can test CDQ's capabilities. And we're happy to then also sit together with CDQ at one table in order to make it as easy and smooth as possible to integrate it into GLASSWING and to your subscription. All right. Are there any additional questions from the audience? If just wait 30 seconds. Anything that was unclear? If that is not the case, then I think Joseph made an excellent job in explaining how GLASSWING and CDQ integrates and works together. So first of all, thank you very much for your attendance. Thank you very much, Joseph, for the demo and the extensive knowledge that we gained today. So let me conclude with, let's say, our 3 key takeaways. It's important to mention that with the combination of GLASSWING and CDQ, you have the possibility of integrating external reference sources, more than 70 pieces through CDQ into GLASSWING, and that increases the data quality and ensures also compliance. And what we also would like to highlight here at the very bottom is the implementation of CDQ together with GLASSWING is actually activated within hours. So that functions and the features and the functionalities that you have seen quite extensively today that are or could be activated within hours and not months. So these features are quite neat. If you have any additional questions that maybe after 1 night or 2 nights you sleep over it appears, then please reach out to me. Or if you would like to evaluate how a free trial could actually work, or if a regular integration of CDQ's capabilities in GLASSWING could work out for you, please reach out at any time. Here are my contact details. You, of course, get then the slide deck afterwards with the Q&A session. And if there is nothing to add, no more questions in the chat, I say thank you for your time, and I hope to see you very soon in one of our next sessions and in our next calls. Thank you very much. Have a great afternoon.
Thank you. Bye.